Alright, when you receive your Neko Smol, it's going to look like this, plus the stickers on top. You're going to have to peel those. Now I have this already peeled because it's a prototype. However, in the event that you take off all the screws, you peel everything, there are going to be a lot of pieces, so it's important to remember that the Neko Smol tents like this, okay? It goes narrow, wider, and then narrow again at the top. All right, so there is a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pieces there, and then another 2 for the legs here. All right, so first thing you want to do, now this is a quick guide, so what you want to do is just loosen all 8 of these. So the thing about these nylon screws is you do not want to over tighten them. It's a keyboard. Don't over tighten them. If you do, they'll strip. It's because they're nylon. But once you unscrew all of it, just put it aside. And then you can take it apart. So I'll put all the screws at the top left here. All right. And then the first 3 layers is going to be what's called the top layer. So 1, 2, 3. All right. You can take them all off, and then of course you peel them, and then you have this plate layer, right? That's where the plate's gonna fit snugly in. So peel that. You'll notice there's a difference between this one and the top 3. The top 3 basically will fit the keycaps, right? The switches and the keycaps. This one will fit the plate. So it looks like this. All right. And then the bottom piece will fit the circuit board. The bottom 2 here will fit the circuit board. So I'll pull off one at a time here. Here's the other one. And then there's going to be a base layer. This is the most bottom one. And then the 2 feet to create the angle. All right. So what you'll notice is I took the screws off the top first, and then that way I can see that these hex spacers are screwed in here in these spots, and usually you screw it in at the bottom first, and then it makes it a lot easier. Same thing with this. You can see I screwed it in here, and don't mind the rubber domes here. You can put that on later. But then that way, it's a lot easier to just start stacking, okay? Of course, you're gonna have to take it all off. So you have to take all these screws off, and I'll take it off right here now just to show you. Okay, and then I'll show you how to put it back on. Yeah, so I actually have to hold this here because it's relatively tight, like that, okay? Now, the best way to do it is to just hold the hex here, put the screw in, and then you can either turn the screw or the hex, but just get it in place first, and then put it the rest of the way in. Remember to be a little bit gentle here, because the nylon screw, you know, it is made of nylon, and don't over tighten. Watch. Don't over tighten, okay? So it's always important. So once you take off all the hex, remember there's 2 sizes of hexes here. The legs will be a little bit longer. See how it's about 6 millimeters longer? It's because it has to hold the legs, and then the bottom here. So once you peel everything, make sure you put it back in its spot, right? Generally the smooth side's on the bottom, the frosted side is on top. Yours may be slightly different because you have different colors. But once you peel everything, you put these back on first. Sometimes you might accidentally put it this way. Just note that it only lines up one way, okay? And what I mean by that is the hexes, if it was reversed, it won't fit. But because this isn't reversed, it does fit. It is a tricky part. You may get lucky and just do it one time, or it can take you a couple of times if you forget which way it goes in. So once I have everything peeled, I put the base hex spacers in with the screws. Then I just start stacking. Okay. So I have that there. So this is the plate. When your plate arrives, it should have the gaskets already on it, thanks to Personal Loop. Again, what I'm showing you is the prototype, so I'm just gonna go over here, right? And then now I have my plates. I'm using alpacas. All right, so remember the order of operations. It goes from thin or narrow, right? So I have from narrow to the thickest width. So usually it's best to just go one by one. So the bottom piece, what I found is easiest is if you actually get all of them in, not all the way down, just partially down like that. Okay, let me move this so I can get this in view. And then just take your time on this. It is acrylic. It is relatively flexible and sturdy, but you can still break it, right? So go steady. So 1, 2, 3, you notice how the acrylic is still at the top, right? As I try to get this last one in, sometimes it's just turning of the hex. You just got to turn the hex a little bit and then it'll fall in place. See? There. And then it should just slip in. Sometimes you will have to force it in a little bit, all right? But don't break your piece because I don't think there's other ones coming. All right, so that's the second one. Okay, so the third one is the plate, right? The plate cover, and you'll notice this is actually a prototype one. And I'll put this on here. See, and just make sure it lines up before you shove it down. Please don't break it. All right, see how this is caved in a little bit, right? So there's cutout. So now, if you look closely here, the 3 corners here, and then this light, the 3 lights here, this actually sits underneath it, right? So you'll notice it lines up here, and then it lines up down here. But this corner right here is going to slip under here and tuck right there, and then put the rest in. Then once you drop it down, it should kind of float on there. If it's touching the bottom, that's okay too, right? It's just a gasket mount. It shouldn't be fully engaged, but you'll notice that it should be in the middle. And once you have that, then just make sure you grab the thickest one or the widest one here, right? So you put that on like that. Okay, and then another hex. And then lastly, the last piece, you'll notice that the holes is a little bit smaller for the screws, but these are the hexes, and it should just lay it right on top. Now, if yours will be brand new, these gaskets are a little bit thicker than the final production run, but once you put, I normally like to put all the screws on here. Right? And then I'll engage. I'll make sure it's all in place. Again, the goal isn't to screw it 100% here, just enough so that it's in. And I'm actually using my left hand here to press down to engage the gasket while I screw it in. Not too hard, just enough. Again, I'm only screwing in about 70% just to make sure it's in place. Okay, all right, once everything looks pretty lined up, right, now I'm gonna screw the rest. Again, I'm engaging the gasket by pressing it down just a little bit and then screwing it. Do not over screw. Can't emphasize that enough. I don't know you guys use this technique, but basically I hold it very lightly here and then I screw it, and then once the whole thing spins, I just let go, right? I'm not doing a death grip here. It just turns, and that's how I know it's tight enough. Again, this is a keyboard. It's not like a tire in which you have to make sure your lug nuts are 100% tight. This is just going to sit in your desk. That's good enough. That's good enough. And of course the back too, okay? So just double check the back. All right, so everything lines up. In the event that the screws don't touch the hex, this can happen sometimes, okay? So sometimes if the screws can't make it to the hex on top because you tightened it on the bottom, go ahead and loosen the bottom a little bit, right? Loosen the bottom a little bit, then push the hex up, and then get the top screw in. So what it does is that it rebalances the hex towards the top so the top screw can make it in, okay? And I can just show you really quickly what that means. So in the event that I'm screwing this screw and it doesn't go in, I can relax this screw, just loosen it a little bit, and then push this screw up. And you can see there's more space up the top with the hex up all the way up to the top, and then you can screw the screw down. All right, cool. And then take our cable here. It's on the left side, plug this in, and there you have it. That is the Neko Smol. Thank you for purchasing. Let me just go ahead and cool. And of course it works with via, open via, change the lighting, whatever color it is that you do like. I'm just going with the standard here. But yeah, thanks guys.